Hey everybody, it's Mike from Lifelong Abundance. I figured I'd take a few minutes to show you how I get my seed starts going down in my basement before the actual planting season kicks in for outdoors. Um, it's not rocket science. Probably won't be super helpful for everybody, but maybe if somebody thinks they don't really know what it's about, they'll at least see this and see how easy it is and get started with it. Basically, all you got to do is you got to get you some plant mix, some starting mix. I used to buy this real expensive stuff that had it's called mycorrhiza mix, and it has like fungus and all kinds of good stuff in it. But what I found was that the cheap stuff works just as well for me, and I'm not growing the plants in there forever. I'm just growing them in there long enough to get them out from my basement to the outside. So you just need something kind of light that if you are gonna like maybe take multiple seedlings and try to then transplant those into bigger pots, separating them, then you definitely would want to use something real fluffy like this stuff, and not just go out in your yard or your garden and get kind of clay filled dirt. It's just not going to be easily separatable. Although you might be able to do it. I don't know for sure, but basically all you have to do is get some of this stuff, get you some seed starting containers. It's not neat. It's pretty much a sloppy endeavor, so I usually just throw a big wad of this dirt kind of on the top of these guys and then spread it into them. And I'm not going to bore you with all of the details and show you every single little thing I do. The gist of it is that you just get this dirt in as many of these containers as you want. You can buy these and these online for like dirt cheap, so much so that the shipping is really what you're paying for. So if you're gonna do that, buy like multi-year worth. I mean, you can get like 25 of the trays and 20 of these molded plastic things, and you can get them in 4s, 6s, 8s, I think. So you could buy those, buy a bunch once, and then don't worry about it for 10 more years. That's kind of what I've done. But the funny thing about this dirt, I think it's just because it's made out of like the peat or whatever, is if you just pour water in there, watch, I'll do it on one of these. Pour water in there, the water goes underneath and all of the stuff floats. And you can stick your finger in there and it's not even wet. Like, I got a little water on the top, but none hardly anywhere else, even though I just poured a quarter of a cup of water in there. So what I found is the easiest thing to do is just get you a sprayer and just mist it. It takes it a lot easier, and it doesn't get it all the way down, but just misting that top level is kind of enough. And then if you pour some in there, just do it slow. It usually is good enough to kind of settle, and you see it set on top this time, and now it will work its way down through. I have a Sharpie because I'm going to write labels, because that's a good thing. I've figured out my first couple years where I would plant a bunch of stuff and I didn't know what it was until it started fruiting because I'd forgotten to write it down, or I used a pencil and in the water from rain or the water from me squirting it took it away. So yeah, dumb move, I know, but it happened. So the next thing I do is I just take that same Sharpie and just put a dimple in. It's pretty simple. You'll get a bunch on your Sharpie, but you just flick that off. Then take whatever it is you're planting. And what I found is there's a couple of different schools of thought here. Some people will just take like a whole bunch and they'll plant like so this is kohlrabi. I'm going to plant 3 kohlrabis or 4 kohlrabis. They'll just put them all in one thing, and then when it comes up, they'll pull those out and do a transplant into a bigger container. That's fine. I've done that before. It's worked for me. But usually what I do now is I actually just put 2 in each thing that I want, and then I cover them back over. And I know that I will have just spent a little more money because I'm going to waste one. But if both of those seeds germinate each one, I just wait till they get their first true leaves, and then I pinch one off. Because it's not, I mean, $1.89 for, I don't know, there's probably 100 of them in here. So yeah, I mean, I'm wasting the seed, I get it, but it's not that big a deal. Once you do that, I don't even really water down the whole thing again. I just mist it again really good. The reason why, I guess, because the problem is when you pour this in there, sometimes you will get that churn where it'll bring the bottom up again because this fluffy stuff wants to float, and sometimes it'll just, the seeds will go away, and sometimes, you'll have stuff growing up in the corner, or you won't get anything growing at all because the seeds might have been exposed and then they got no dirt to grow in. So as you can see, that's not rocket science, like I said. Now the next thing, again, because I do stuff on the cheap, I take some red painter's tape and I tear it off a couple times. Let's see if I can do this generally good, to where I have just something about crazy like that. And I take a toothpick and I wrap it to make a little flag. Not super exciting, right? But now I'm gonna write kohlrabi on there, or something close to that in English that only I can understand by the way I write, and I plant that flag in there. And I'll do that 2 more times for the other ones, and then when I take these into bigger containers, I will actually use some decent garden tags, because that won't stand up to any sort of weather at all. Come down about every couple of days and give this thing a mist. And I'm gonna stop the video for a second and take you over and show you where I put these things to actually germinate and stuff, and I've got a tray going already right now. So sorry about the noise in the light. I'm in my basement, like I said, and the noise is the furnace going right there. But it's always cold in my basement in the spring because we don't heat the house too much. We get it like 65 degrees, so it's probably like 60 degrees or so down here in my basement. So you won't get much germination of warm weather plants like tomatoes and peppers. The cold weather stuff might germinate, but it takes a lot longer. So what I end up doing is using this heat seat. I guess what they call it is a seedling heater. This thing right here, you plug it in, and it warms up to about 72, 73 degrees probably. Here's the tray that I have had going down there for about 2 weeks now. And I started all the stuff in the back row. I started all of this stuff back here about 2 weeks ago. And if you watch my square foot gardening video, you'll see here's the romaine I was talking about that's never ever germinated, and for some stupid reason I keep trying it every year. But 2 weeks in, and this kale's already got true leaves coming in on it. Nothing on the kohlrabi as far as true leaves, but these collards do have some true leaves. None of my peppers or tomatoes are going yet. They haven't even germinated, it doesn't look like, but I expect that they will. So that has to sit on that heat mat until it germinates. I even have the lids that go on if I really want to try to keep the warmth in there, but I generally don't need to do that because I'm pretty excitable about gardening in the off season. So what happens is I'm down here planting stuff long before I probably should. So it's kind of okay if it takes a little bit longer. But every other day or so I'll come down here and I'll either fill this guy up with water and just give these guys a little bit just to make sure that they're moist. I just don't want them to dry out. But in worst case, this stuff is so soft and fluffy. If you overwater it, it'll just flow right through. Anyways, I hope this was somewhat useful. It just shows you that it's super easy to do this. You don't have to be a master gardener. Just get some seeds, get some dirt, and any light works. These are just shop lights from Lowe's or Home Depot. T8 bulbs, full spectrum. You can buy the grow lights specifically for growing, but there's not really any reason to. These work just as well. So this is Mike from Lifelong Abundance saying, until next time, see you later.